Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings.
And ourselves.
We stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this giant world heroes among us, and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us all. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find, a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a better place, a whole new world for our children's future.
even with a mobile device. We'll be talking about it all every Thursday night, from software to plugins and sys that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat-making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Boom.
There goes the dynamite.
Happy holidays. We got Christmas coming up.
Yeah, I just realized this is technically our last show of the year. When we come back, it will be a new year.
Just like that. Magic.
Yeah, oh, Guten Tag and Guten Tag.
That's right. Guten Nacht. Good evening.
Ah, see, he knows his German.
A little bit of German. Good stuff.
It's more than I know.
That's all right.
Every time I hear that little groove in our intro, it gets me fired up for some tech.
That's right.
We've been hitting the tech pretty hard the last couple of weeks, and last week we covered some potential gifts that might be useful for this time of year, and now I got kind of curious as I was going through our list of channels. What's on the horizon? Because
upcoming year,
there's a lot of anticipation for 2026 in tech, and AI is still like the forefront of the discussion. But there's some hardware that is making some noise, and I'd like to take a little peek at some of the things going on there.
Yeah, and with the speed at which AI has been progressing, I mean, another year, that's, huge in the advancements that we'll see in the next year compared to the last 10 years, for example, because of the speed this stuff goes.
Hi, Maha.
What's up?
And we
Always
got
good to see
empty.
Maha.
We got empty in there too.
Nice. Good evening.
Yes. And
welcome.
What we're going to look at, by the time we do hit 2027, some of this stuff, may become old tech. It goes by so quick. It's going to be interesting to see, like, the evolution in the next 12 months.
Exactly.
Let's head over to the cave and see what we got there. Hey, we're not in there yet.
Nope. The cave is empty without us.
Oh, that's why.
Aha.
Oh, that was like a little dance.
Just like that.
So here's what we, and Max gets a double shout out tonight because again, it's one of those channels that migrated from my YouTube, and now it's now in our list of channels to check out, and it's a tech channel, so
nice.
Should have been in there all along. And
exactly.
I started with this one with him because I feel like with everything we've been looking at, I'm probably going to end up with an Apple product in the next year. They're enticing me over to that side for different reasons, and they just came out with an announcement a few days ago on some of the new products that they have cooking.
Mhm.
And Max does an awesome job of reviewing these things that are coming out, and he also does an awesome job with gear review. So the first one, he's going to be talking about these 10 products that they leaked out that they're getting ready for 2026. I think it's going to be a big year for Apple in multiple arenas.
Nice. And
And
I've always been a fan of Apple products. I'm not a hater on Apple, but
yeah,
always
same
just
here.
because of all the what we did professionally, we had to deal with PCs a lot more than we had to deal with Macs. So
I'm a hater of paying a lot for a muffler. But if that muffler kicks ass and it looks good, and Apple tends to do that, sometimes it's worth the extra cost for their products. So we're gonna see if some of the things coming down the pipe are gonna be worth it.
Absolutely.
And we've had a couple of gaming nights the past couple of months, which I'm loving those gaming nights. And
Nice.
Colt Eastwood was one of the channels that we came across when we were covering the game stuff, and he got a leak from the Xbox developers conference, and they talked about some games that they've got lined up for next year. Now, hopefully, it's not just Xbox exclusive, because there's certain games in here that I know my brother's looking forward to, and Starfield was the one that got my attention there, because
Nice.
that's one of the ones that he actually liked.
Mhm.
And wait till you see the previews that some of these look like.
Oh no, games.
Yeah.
You know how much I hate games.
Yeah. And then to go back to Max Tech, because he does have awesome gear reviews too. And this is a piece of technology that it's, Amazon kind of tried to get into this market in the early days with the ebooks, and it wasn't so much as good on the note-taking side and the pen side of it, but it was good for like straight up reading and nice high contrast and being able to feel like you're holding a book, and much easier to read in some cases than tablets.
Right.
And Max is going to, show us this iFLYTEK AINOTE. AI note? Oh, they're bringing AI into it.
Nice.
And I think this is something that's worth considering depending on your needs. I could see this being useful for me. If anything, get me some penmanship back, because I haven't written in so long that I practically forgot how to.
Yeah, I definitely don't write very often.
Yeah. Well, and in the case of like being able to jot down notes, I'm so used to like using a text file and doing it that way, but it would be nice to actually be able to do it this way, and it digitizes everything and it annotates it and converts it into something you can use on the computer.
Now I remember previous iterations of this. At one point, the electric whiteboard. Remember, like you
Yeah.
could sit there and you'd have a marker board, and somebody could be writing on the whiteboard, and they could actually have that tied in to where it is at the same time entering it as a computer file, and you're able to just digitize it that way.
Yeah,
Go from there.
and something that's becoming more common, like in Zoom, is annotation features, and if this can tap into these different kinds of environments, all the more useful.
Exactly. I like it.
Then we're going to shift to a plugin for a moment, and one that like we've looked at amp sims and other simulations of making hardware sound like other hardware, and the one we've kind of ignored is MMicSims. And as far as the ones that are out there, the one that I've heard the coolest things about, the Melda one, Chandler is going to show, and I think he works directly with them. He might even be involved in some of the development, and he's going to show how simulating a mic is not only possible, in some cases, the what you get and the results are pretty impressive. If you are dealing with like you've got one mic or you're dealing with a phone mic and you want it to sound more like, a vocal mic or one of those more expensive ones, it's not to say you're going to get $1,000 mic all of a sudden, but it's pretty impressive as to how it can improve the mic that you are working with.
Yeah, well, given what they've been able to do with what I've seen with the guitar tech in this, being able to do amp sims, it
Yeah.
doesn't shock me that they're able to do mic sims and do a good job of it. And a lot of times it has to do with the fact that so many of the mics do such a good job, generally speaking, that if you just plug in a mic and you try it, and then you plug in a different mic and you try it, they're going to both sound great. But it's only when you really put them in a good side by side test that you really see that difference. And that's where this can really help, because this can find which of those mics works best for your voice. Because I know that my voice will work differently in most of those mics than somebody else's voice, because I have a whole different range than most people.
Shit, your voice works good in any mic.
but some completely ignore that range is the whole thing. Like, if I go like really, really low and like all of a sudden the mic stops picking up, or, the speakers aren't getting it, or the headphones drop out, it can make it where it sounds like I just lose volume when all I'm really doing is getting low in register. But this is a good way to be able to do a side by side and determine, okay, this is the one that sounds best for my particular voice or my particular, environment. And then you're able to, in some cases it could be as a buying guide to see which one you should get for your studio.
Yep. And it kind of reminds me of that headphone simulator, the enhancer that we looked at a couple weeks ago. A lot of this same approach and IRs and some of the other things we've looked at, this approach of simulating these different setups. It's cool that like we live in a time where we can virtualize a mic like this.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is like with the IRs they can do with guitar, it's, it would be, I'll be impressed with what they do with this. Let me put it that way, because I'm sure they can do some great things.
Yeah. I've dabbled in some simulators. Isotope also has some mic simulators in some of their offerings, and it's been hit or miss. And I'm really curious as to like looking at this and the way that they approach it with the interface and how you can adjust. I think this might be worth a look at.
Absolutely.
And then for our last one, this one kept popping up as I was looking through like all our different channels, and it piqued my interest. Viral Vision, cool new freshie for us, and I like this channel. Those like psychiatry nights, the nights we've had where we look at like the way the brain works and the psychology behind things like music. This one was particularly interesting on the title, How to Force People to Like Your Music. And, with the title, I'm thinking like, oh, do I really want to force people to like my music? But I understand why he titled it this way. And when we watch it, you'll see where he's going with it. And like, there is kind of a science to what you do with your music and how you do it that tends to make the hit songs and make the things that tend to go viral in people's ears.
One thing I'll mention on like tension and release is one of those things that gets you that sense of closure. Like the same thing when we talk about a 2-5-1. If you do a 2-5-1, when you give a 2 and then a 5, like if you have a song going around and you got that a 2 and a 5, and then you want that one, like it feels like it wants to go to that one. If you don't do that one, you're holding that off. But when you get that one, that is, bringing it back home. Things like that are one of the things that kind of bring the song back around and make the song memorable or make it stick with you. So things like that, it wouldn't surprise me if we talk somewhat about that, like the way to melodically bring something around that way.
Or in the case of when a listener's hearing familiar chord progressions, ones that, like 100 songs use this chord progression. And when you do feel like you're familiar with a song and it's the first time you're hearing it, that can be really effective, as long as it doesn't feel like it's a copy of another song. Because if it's too close to something else, we tend to have a habit of like, oh, well, that's not this song, it's that song. And it's all about how you take that common approach and give it a little bit of your own.
Exactly. Now, as a bass player, like a lot of the times when I'm playing with people, they'll just start into something and not talk about a title. They just kick into it, right? So they go in and I just start following and we go from there. I recognize it, but a lot of times I'll recognize the wrong song. So I'll recognize that like he goes into, Sweet Child of Mine. So like I start going into that, but it's actually the same progression, but it's a whole different song. And it's like, oh, so I just like shift the bass line. Oh, now we're doing this other song completely, but same, same rotation, same.
And if I was hearing Sweet Child of Mine and I was just hearing the bass and possibly the drums, I might have a trickier time recognizing it right away than when I hear that unique guitar. Like,
and that's why if the guitar starts it, that's why I was like, you hear that, and it's like, okay, now I know that's where we're starting. Boom, and then come in with that little riff, and then go from there.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs that I bet you wouldn't necessarily recognize them if the thing that makes them recognizable isn't there. And yeah, a lot of times it is that like guitar coming in, or sometimes a certain kind of drum beat. I'm thinking like Aerosmith, between the guitar and the either one of those, and I'm like, I know that song.
Exactly. Or boom, boom, cha. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, cha.
Yes, Queen probably should copyright that, even though
I mean, other people can use it. It's just that, anybody, if you do, anybody who hears it's going to know where it's going, and then you're going to disappoint them by doing something else.
Well, if you actually do something cool that isn't like what Queen did, but like, damn, they found a new way to use that drum beat again. Sometimes that's a positive for some people. It feels like Queen, but it doesn't sound like it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to get started, let's see what Apple's got coming down the line. I'm really curious as far as the M5 is the thing that I'm hearing the most noise about. Like their next processor, we saw some previews of that, like dealing with the AI, and they are working on an AI driven CPU. What do they call those? The AI CPUs. There's
it's not a GPU, it's not a CPU, but they have something else for it. It's not going to be an APU because that would just make too much sense. But
it is a PU. Right. Hopefully it doesn't stink.
Exactly. And hopefully it doesn't take over the world.
Yeah, and this one, like I said, tonight Max is going to be getting a double shout out for his reviews and coverage of things, and that's at MaxTech Official. One of those channels that I've been on my YouTube for a while now, and just like some of the other review sites that like we go to, his ability to cover the news and the tech and put out good product reviews is why I keep coming back here.
Exactly. Gotta love it.
Yeah, and for this one, when it comes to like Apple technology, I really want to know from a good source, like what's the deal going on over at Cupertino?
Yep. One Apple way.
Yeah, let's see what they've got cooking here. And we got to switch to our brand here. There we go. All right, Max, take us in.
We just got a major leak within Apple's code which reveals the last puzzle pieces for what we should expect for Apple's next event, or should I say the next 2 events, because we've been getting leaks for a total of 10 new products, but it's currently unclear when these will actually get released, but we know for sure that they'll be coming between now and the springtime based on leaks and Apple's usual release dates. So let's jump right into number 1. The first new product is the budget budget iPad 12th generation, we just got a brand new leak from an internal Apple code document seen by Macworld. And based on the document, it looks like we're actually getting the new A19 chip, which would be a first for Apple because Apple usually gives their budget iPad an older chip. Every single time, it's always an older chip. But based on this new leak, it's gonna be the new A19 that's in the new iPhone 17 that's crazy fast, the best performance we've ever seen in an iPhone chip, and it's going into the budget iPad. I mean, 42% faster single core compared to the 11th gen, 37% for the multi-core, 62% faster graphics, which is just insane. I mean, it's gonna be a gaming beast with that A19, and we're also expecting the N1 chip, which is Apple's new custom chip that gives them Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6.0, which is just crazy, but don't expect any other changes. Now for the second new product, we have the iPad Air, and that same leaked code report also mentioned the iPad Air getting the M4 chip. Yes, that's expected. We currently have the M3, we're jumping up to the M4, so we're gonna get a nice performance boost, likely also the N1 chip, but don't expect any other changes because the leaks are not showing anything significant. It's likely just a simple chip update. Now for product number 3, we have the brand new budget MacBook. This is supposed to be $599 and it's supposed to destroy the Chromebook and budget Windows laptop. Now, with the recent report of the iPad jumping straight to the A19 instead of the A18, we think that there's a chance that the new budget MacBook could just go straight to that A19 Pro, even though we had leaks of it coming with the A18 Pro. However, Apple could actually rebrand that chip to make it fall in line with the M5 series of MacBooks because Corp Cry on X mentioned M5E, and that chip name actually makes total sense because that'll make it kind of connected to the M5 series of MacBooks because Apple actually rebranded the iPhone SE to the iPhone 16e, which kind of made it part of the iPhone 16 lineup. And Apple could and should name the new MacBook chip as the M5e to make it clear that it's part of the M5 chip series. In terms of the changes, we're expecting a smaller design with a smaller display, which Mark Gurman has mentioned, smaller than the current M4 MacBook Air. We're also expecting only USB-C ports, hopefully actually 2 of them instead of 1, alongside the MagSafe 3 charging port, but don't expect any crazy external display support, likely just 1 external display. Now that chip is gonna be crazy fast, faster than the M1 if it's based on the A19 Pro, and here you can see the performance charts. I mean, this new budget MacBook is gonna be insanely powerful for the price, and it's likely gonna have amazing battery life with the addition of the N1 chip. Now moving on to the fourth one, we have the iPhone 17e. Now this is Apple's budget phone, which is $600, but this time it's getting so much better. Apple's gonna ditch the notch, switch it to the dynamic island while also thinning down the bezels to make it more immersive and modern, but keeping the same OLED display, which means they're planning on making the chassis itself smaller and more compact, kind of like a mini iPhone, like people have been asking for. And yes, the A19 chip as well, just like the iPad 12. And the 18 megapixel center stage camera is also coming, which everybody loves, and it's gonna be a great upgrade. For the fifth product, we have the Apple TV 4K. We've been waiting on this for months, and it seems like Apple's just been holding it and waiting to release it. Well, that's coming within those next 2 events. It's gonna have the A17 Pro chip, which means very fast performance, very snappy. You could do gaming on it, but in general, the UI is always gonna be super quick and snappy, even years into the future. So you don't have to worry about it slowing down over time. It's also getting the N1 chip, and we have rumors of the price going down to $99, which is gonna be a killer deal. For the sixth product, we have the M5 Pro and M5 Max 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros. Now those are gonna stay the same in terms of the display and the design and everything, but we are expecting much faster performance with Apple completely redesigning the chip architecture for the Pro and Max Max chips. I think they're going to be adding more graphics cores, so the M4 Pro is going to go from 20 Max cores to 24 Max GPU cores, and then the M4 Max chip is going to be going from a maximum of 40 to 48. That's my prediction. It's going to make the graphics performance absolutely insane. And on top of that, we're also expecting 5G support for the first time on a MacBook, which is going to make a lot of people upgrade. I think the price is going to stay the same, so it's going to be a huge deal. For number 7, we have the M5 MacBook Air, the successor to the M4, and don't expect any other changes. We're expecting the same design, just a simple M5 chip update, and that's it. No 5G support either, because we know that M5 does not have that included with it, so it's gonna be basically a boring update for the same $999 price to keep it fresh amongst the rest of the lineup. For number 8, we have the HomePod Mini 2. Yes, we're getting an update with some probably new colors, some speaker quality updates, new drivers. The N1 chip is also rumored, so that's gonna be a nice boost. The ultra wideband chip for handoff features, that's gonna be nice as well. Just a basic new update to get people to buy it again. Hopefully there's gonna be some changes to the display on top, but we don't really know, so keep your eye out for that. For number 9, this is huge. This is Apple's home device. It's their home hub. They've been working on it for a while. It's kind of like a tablet, but it can attach to different base stations, like let's say a wall mount or a speaker HomePod mount, which will be really cool because it's gonna have a center stage camera at the top, so you can FaceTime and you can walk around your kitchen and it'll follow you around, but the display can also act as a hub for all of your smart devices, apps. You could listen to podcasts. You could even likely use different apps like YouTube or even watch shows like on Apple TV. And the cool thing is, it's also gonna get the ultra wideband chip, so you can essentially watch something on your phone, bring it up to that home hub, and it'll now play on that screen with that great speaker quality. I think it's gonna be a really cool new product, and I can't wait to get one. And finally, for number 10, we have the AirTags 2. This is gonna be a simple update, no design changes, but it's getting an upgraded ultra wideband chip, which means 3 times further detection and tracking range with the tracking where you walk up and you can find it. That's a huge deal because right now it's a little bit difficult to kind of find your AirTag, so that's gonna be cool. And we can expect Apple to do some kind of security and anti-theft updates as well. So there you guys go. Those are 10 different products we can expect. I don't know which one of these will get released first, or if it's gonna be 2 full-on events, or if we have one event and then one newsroom cluster of products in a single week. We don't really know, but we know for sure that these are coming between now and the end of spring, because we have a whole bunch of other leaks coming in June and the end of next year. So we need room for that. That's why I think all of these are coming before the end of spring. Let me know which one of these you're most excited for down in the comments, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Well, they certainly look good.
Yeah, some nice looking tech for sure.
And of all of those, I think the one that I could see getting incorporated in this house in different, especially the kitchen, that home portal.
Sure.
You know, that's something that a couple of different manufacturers have tried to get in there over the years, but nothing seems to have like really stuck there. I don't hear of a lot of people who have jumped on the previous attempts at making these little screens that just kind of give you, like, you know, connection to everything from your kitchen. This one does look cooler than some of the other ones that I've seen, and knowing Apple, their camera is going to be top quality. It will probably make a good conferencing device.
Mm-hmm. And even just the ability to have it attached to different base stations easily, like you just know, pull it from the kitchen, bring it to the other room, drop it in there, and start playing music or watching a movie or whatever. It looks like a good design from the usability standpoint. You know, you're not fussing with wires and moving things around and having to hook things back up. You're just grabbing it and going over here and then you're good.
Yeah, yeah. One theme you're seeing there across multiple products there is that ultra band and getting, now they're kind of just like jumping right over Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 is pretty much like starting to become the new go-to. Like Wi-Fi 6, we barely knew ya. And I
Yeah, the
haven't even
technology
managed.
changes that fast. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the router we got last month basically jumped from 5 to 7, and haven't like seen massive differences. There is a performance difference, at least on the upload side, significant. But the range, we're getting Wi-Fi coverage now that really is covering not only the entire house, but a big chunk of the outside.
Nice. So you can go out in the, minus 40 degrees with your computer if you want.
Yeah. Can make it to the barn now, so
Nice.
it definitely did improve the range.
All right.
And nice to see that the tablet side of things, the iPad Air, looks like they've merged the Air with the tablet. Good to see that they're at least getting it up to the M4, but I'm more curious on that M5 and what I'm hearing for potential performance boost there. If I was going to get a Mac, it'd be for a music machine first and foremost. And if that chip is doing what some people are saying, it might be worth considering.
Also, with the inclusion of the higher end processors on the budget machines, some people think that's just a good thing. Hey, you're giving away better processors for the low end machines. But to me, it's a sign of, we've talked before about the obsolescence that happens with the machines, where they get to a certain level of the code, and when they go to that next level, any machine prior to this gets cut out. I think the idea is that if they didn't start with a newer processor right now, those would be going obsolete very quickly. So that's why they kind of had to go to a minimum of the next level processor for even the budget level, to say, okay, here's going to be the new, the new starting point. And
I
then
was
go from
surprised
there.
to hear that like budget MacBook that they're talking about, $599. Now that's the kind of price that if Apple had been targeting in the old days, I might have considered getting one of their laptops much sooner, because the main reason I tended to avoid that, I mean, I would buy a $1,000 to $2,000 laptop anytime that I was upgrading. In some cases, in the early 2000s, 2,500, because I was trying to get half of a gaming laptop. So I wanted the cutting edge, and at that time, you really had to pay extra.
Yeah.
But Apple, you'd be paying that much and not even getting a gaming laptop. It wasn't even a consideration. With this kind of budget laptop, for people like me who was a programmer who needed the different operating systems to be able to test code and things like that,
Right.
that's
Got to have your sandbox.
yeah, that's a nice offering now, in a comfortable price range.
Yeah, and see, to me, the thing was, like, you're talking about that $2,000 price point for laptops. Like, to me, it never made sense to do a $2,000 laptop, because I could get the desktop that would outperform that for like 1,200.
Yeah, but
instead of that 2,000.
at that time I needed on the road, because I'm going to clients over here, I'm programming at a company over here, and
at the time, I want to say,
gotta be able to take my work with me.
I want to say it was probably the IBM ThinkPads and Lenovo's at the between that time frame and when it was IBM to Lenovo, like in there. That was probably what people were going with at the time for the business stuff, because the same idea, like, if you're a network administrator and you're going somewhere, you have to have a laptop that you can just, drop down and remote in and do your stuff, so we had to have those around.
And to Lenovo's credit, they were like tanks. They were tough and lasted. I've still got one from the 90s that still actually works.
And compatible with the network. We talked about that before. You know how, if you wanted to do the same thing with a MacBook at the time, you would have not been able to do essentially the same thing that you wanted to do. But the point being that, now by doing a desktop and by building it myself from parts, it was always much cheaper to get the same performance, and I didn't need any of the laptop benefits that people use it for. The moving around thing, that's not a benefit to me. Like, I want it to be right here. The size, I want it to be a big case because I can get a lot of drives in there, so that I can do a lot of storage. Expandability and
means I can put a lot of drives in.
And that's the thing. That's one of the big things I always had against not just Apple, but any products that are, kind of sealed like that and proprietary parts, is that you want to upgrade a video card in an Apple product, good luck, but I want to upgrade a video card in the desktop machine that I built. Fine. I pull my video card, I put a new one in, and I'm done,
Yeah. And when it came to like what I expected of a laptop, I mean, granted, going into the 2000s, I wanted to see some gaming options in my laptop. So I actually went like to a specialty laptop maker who was cramming desktop GPUs into laptop shells, Sager notebooks back then. Like that, you could get gaming equipment custom built into them, but I still had my desktop to be my main gaming machine. And nice that I could get a laptop that had some of those features, but for the most part, the laptop was for portability, to have a decent computer whenever I was on site.
When I did go for one that was pre-built rather than building it from parts, it was, I think the last one was that Dell XPS, which was right before they got Alienware, I guess. So it was, a year or two before, a year or two later, I should say, it would have been an Alienware desktop. But
2001-ish.
Somewhere around there, yeah. And it was huge. I mean, the thing, you could strap wheels on that thing and drive it down the street. That
What, did you ever get one of the Alienware desktops? I've still got one of the cases in the back there that takes two people to actually carry that case.
That's the size of this thing, and it had just an enormous power supply for the time, so I could have thrown in all kinds of expandability. And again, expandability from cheap off the shelf parts is the idea. Not having to get proprietary this or that. I can go get a hard drive from wherever, a video card from wherever, drop them in there, and I'm good to go.
Oh yeah. Oh, Frank, when it came to making music in the 80s and early 90s, between the Commodore 64, the SID chip, which at that time was an awesome little synthesizer for what it did, and then the Amiga. When Commodore came out with the Amiga, that machine was ahead of its time.
Now, to me, that's where your emulator that you have there, it undoubtedly, like when you put together an emulation thing like that, they usually include a whole Amiga section. I'd be curious to see what they have for music in there, because the Amigas were known for the video and the
actually, through the early 90s, some serious musicians were building their studios with Amiga kind of powering them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I would keep that old tech if for no other reason, for nostalgia. I had an original Commodore 64 when I moved from Connecticut, and my mom put a lot of the stuff that we weren't going to take with us on house auction. That Commodore 64 sold for $350 at that auction.
Yeah,
I got more money. I got more money for that Commodore at that point than I spent to buy it when I originally did.
And you could have bought it at the time an Xbox for it, or a PlayStation, top of the line, essentially, where, showing that the value of the home console, like, lasted over the time, even though you didn't buy it for $350 back then, for sure. Like, they weren't costing that even at the time. But like my buddy Mike is the one who has the whole museum of the video game stuff, because I'm a huge video game guy. He's a big video game guy. We've got everything. We've got Dreamcast. We've got, I'm pretty sure we've got an Atari over there. We've got Nintendo over there. I mean, everything going back, even just in this cabinet, I've got like the PlayStation going back to the PlayStation 1, a bunch of the old games that I had. Lately, it's all PC games. We've talked about that. I haven't really updated on the console side, because I do like the expandability of computers.
Atari is actually making a comeback. There's a couple of new Atari consoles. I mean, I don't totally understand why people are buying them, but you know how retro goes. And
sure,
the 2600 there's actually a new one that they've been selling and packaging with a whole bunch of the classic games. And
what I saw at one point was just the controller. Like, you remember the old Atari controller?
Well, it's the paddles, man. I want those paddles again.
Well, they had the regular controller, the stick controller, and all the games are built in. So it was just that stick controller and like the red, yellow, and white to like
Yeah,
plug into your
I've
TV at
got
the time.
I've got one of those. My sister got me that for Christmas
Yeah.
a couple of years back.
Because like if you go somewhere, like you go to a cabin somewhere and like they've got an old TV but like nothing else, no signal, no cable, whatever. It's like you could just have that and just plug it in, and you've got Atari all day for
Yeah,
for
yeah.
all that.
This one in a joystick's got 47 games. I
Yeah,
mean,
if it's got combat, I'm good to go.
yeah,
Like I always love that one.
yeah. Pac-Man was the big
And
one.
Pac-Man, of course.
Yeah,
Pac-Man's always good. I mean, even not Journey, Joust, not Joust, but Joust was a good one too, though. Actually,
as
thinking
long
of
as
the
we're not talking
adventure.
E.T.
No,
because
no, ET
that
is the
was
bottom of the
the
landfill where
biggest
it belongs.
disaster of a game
I
ever.
I am quite sure that I had it at one point and was very confused. Like I'm playing it, going like, what is this even about? Like how is this
Yeah.
even like how is this even a game?
My favorites were the Activision games.
Oh,
Pitfall
Pitfall was amazing.
was
Yeah.
and River Raid. I mean, when those two came out, I was like, I could play this all day.
Now, when somebody mentioned the Commodore, I was trying to think. Raid over Moscow, was that
Yeah.
was that the Commodore 64 or was
The
that the
Commodore had a version of it. Yeah.
okay? Because I remember, I loved the music on that, and I loved the game itself. The game mechanics on it was very cool.
Yeah. Now, one thing with these Apple products that I was thinking, RAM prices right now,
Right.
they're shooting up. AI is making RAM expensive again. Like we went through all this nice time where RAM got cheap, and I feel like we're almost back to like that 90s period where it's like, damn, you can only get so much RAM because it costs more than the machine. Um, that's kind of happening. And one thing Apple does have an advantage with, they squeeze a lot more performance with less RAM.
To me, I never had the need for the highest RAM. Like I'm a gamer, but like the games I do, they don't require, like I don't need 64 on my machine right now. Like even 32 is fine. For anything that I'm doing. 64 would be nice, but it's not a game changer to not have it.
32 is my minimum on my music machines or my video editor. If I'm just talking an average everyday computer that I'm just going to use for browsing and things like that, 16 is still doable. And on the Apple side, 16 is actually very efficient. There's still a lot of good hardware that they have that doesn't demand that extra. But if you're using it for music and you got to load samples and things in, you need that RAM to get those samples into the machine. Otherwise, if you're trying to read them from the hard drive, you're waiting and waiting and waiting, even with SSD.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like if I had, two machines side by side, same exact hardware that I have right now, and this one had 32 and that one had 64, I don't think I would see any difference in the performance between the two. Just because again, I'm not pushing anything really beyond that 32 limit.
You're not going to see it so much on the performance side. But if you are like my cakewalk projects and I got 150 tracks in there and multiple samplers loading giant piano samples.
And that's why you're building your PC around that, just like you were building, your storage machine around the fact that you need storage. So you're building terabytes of storage into a machine to get that there,
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's a good thing that we don't actually need the kind of RAM that we need. It sucks that it's getting expensive again. It was nice to see that part of technology actually get cost efficient because it was a big deal in the 90s. Big hard drives and big memory sticks, you spent to get them back then. And it really got cheap into the 2000s, and we've been kind of spoiled.
But again, with the Apple products, since they're not really upgradable, it's like you buy this one or you buy that one. So you're making your memory choice up front, and you're not doing an upgrade without upgrading the entire product, right?
Yeah, yeah. But even their desktops, they're not very expandable. I mean, they're really trying to go for minimal, like the small little PCs. They're trying to shove it into a little box that can sit up next to your TV.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I kind of like that in a footprint rather than having a big thing that you could drive around your house, for not a particular reason other than to gather dust on the grate,
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
so MMicSim got a double today.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a moment, Max. Before we do, we are going to take a visit over to Colt Eastwood. one of the gaming channels that we came across when we were doing some of our gaming nights, the Steam coverage that we were looking at things. Colt helped us to sort out like some of the things going on in the gaming world. And, you know, we did look at like what Microsoft has planned with the Xbox going into next year and how they're going to kind of break up the ecosystem a little bit and push that X Pass, which they are pushing hard on. This one is some leaked information from the Xbox developers forum, and they're going to talk about 7 games that they've got in their lineup for 2026, just like we saw what PlayStation, Sony was cooking up for some of the games for next year, and I really want to see that Wolverine one. This one, when I saw Starfield, and I know Rick really enjoyed the first one, that's one that he's probably going to be curious about.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love to see about any of the new games coming up because there's definitely a lot of them that are interesting. Like Arc Raiders is one that I started playing just now. There's a few different ones that look very cool in the upcoming stuff.
Well, wait till you see how they look. They look very cool as far as the little previews that they've given out so far.
Nice.
Let's get our gaming on.
Time.
The Xbox Developer Direct is coming next month, and the yearly visit to Xbox Game Studios reveals for gameplay and secret projects are about to be unveiled. 2026 is a special hallmark for the 25th anniversary for Xbox, and these leaks for the Xbox Developer Direct are unbelievable. This is Colt Eastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Today we're going to talk about the leaks for Xbox Developer Direct. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content, and let's see which games are going to be showcased at Xbox Developer Direct 2026. Every January for the past few years, Xbox has presented a new digital showcase which outlines a few games that are coming in the new year and gameplay reveals with brand new announcements. And it all starts with the Developer Direct. Xbox's lead Matt Booty said, quote, "I can't share exactly what's there, but we've got a lot of stuff that we're shipping next year. In fact, this year, we've got more stuff coming up than we can fit into one show, which is a good place to be. So it's going to be a real banner year for the brand and a banner year for some of the biggest franchises to show up across the industry," close quote. Leaks from insiders have outlined a packed Developer Direct with not 4 to 5, but possibly even 7 games being showcased. And most importantly, some major updates for games that fans have been waiting for years. Let's break down the upcoming Xbox Developer Direct for 2026. First of all, it's a given. It's time for Gears E-Day. Shown in 2024, we've seen absolutely zero gameplay. But the Coalition has explained that everything we saw in the new trailer was all in-engine. This is what the game will look like. We've yet to see gameplay of Gears E-Day, but instead, last year getting a remaster for the first Gears of War game. We can expect to get classic-style Gears gameplay, cover-based shooting, and a story of the young Dom and Marcus Phoenix. Fans have been waiting a long time, and they're glad to see a callback and a prequel for the story from Marcus Phoenix instead of continuing the story with Kate Diaz from Gears 5 way back in 2019. Gears E-Day will get a first showcase of gameplay, a release date possibly for around October 2026, and a deep dive into the multiplayer modes that will offset an incredible new game campaign. Of course, we're getting Forza Horizon 6. Playground Games has taken a long time to deliver the next Forza game. Forza 5 was back in 2021, and now 5 years later, we're about to get Forza Horizon 6 finally set in Japan. This is a long-awaited setting, and the reveal for this trailer has shown us that the game is supposed to come out early in spring of 2026. Insiders are tying a direct release date of May 2026 for Forza Horizon 6. Expect a grandiose open world campaign across Japan's countryside with cherry blossoms and into downtown Tokyo for that Tokyo Drift experience that Forza fans have been waiting for, because it's been a long time since this franchise came out every other year. This is going to shock a lot of fans, but there have been a lot of things brewing behind the scenes for Bethesda Softworks, and one thing they've been quietly and secretly working on is a full reiteration of Starfield. Fans of this epic sci-fi that have been waiting for the improvements and updates and offsetting it with mods and creations, Bethesda has something really special. In fact, insiders are saying that Starfield is about to get its Cyberpunk 2.0 moment. A Starfield 2.0 release that has been a long time coming. There are major things to fix, especially when it comes to the open world loading screens and the mechanics built into the game that are lacking from their other classics like Skyrim and Fallout. Looking at Starfield and diving into some of the data mining, there have been some incredible improvements that will possibly eliminate a ton of loading screens, one of the biggest major complaints for Starfield. A seamless organic transition from ground to space and moving into different planets would bring immersion up to a top tier level, probably one of the biggest criticisms that was landed on Starfield. There are other major things that need to come to the game that have been hinted at other updates that Bethesda's done for their games in Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series, and the outpost building is one of the mechanics that needs to see a massive overhaul. Especially the loot, the things you can pick up in the game, half of them are completely useless and worth almost 0 credits in the game. If Bethesda is truly taking every item in the world and making those deconstructed and craftable for your outpost and building your ship and your gear and modifying your weapons, this could be a huge revival for Starfield. The combat and the visuals, the characters and story are all incredible in Starfield, and if they can fix these main issues and round out the mechanics and make this RPG its true form, this will be a next step for the franchise, and Starfield will also be announced at this time to come to PlayStation 5, and the world will finally get to dive into this massive universe. Fable is one of Xbox's most troubled franchises. It's been a long time since we've been able to go back to Albion, and Playground Games has delayed and delayed yet again. Fans are unsure if Fable is even going to make it in 2026, especially since it looks like they need the entirety of the calendar year, which puts them close to Grand Theft Auto 6. But Playground Games could see their showcase alongside Forza Horizon 6 to show both games and have them both ready for the end of this year. With Forza Horizon 6 coming in May, Fable could be pushing closer to September or October. And I'll say it again, we've only seen about 42 seconds of gameplay. You're watching it here. There is so much in this open world, the mechanics and the way we'll play the game, and being able to choose a male or female playable character have yet to be unveiled. Playground Games has been so quiet and secret about Fable. This is the perfect time to have Xbox in their studio interviewing their teams and telling us exactly what we can expect from Fable, and hopefully it comes out in 2026. In Exile Entertainment has been working tirelessly on Clockwork Revolution, which is a first-person action RPG set in a steampunk universe. And this is a BioShock meets Singularity with all of the charm of a Fallout game. And this is from the people that made the Fallout series in the beginning anyway. Clockwork Revolution has some incredible first-person gunplay, really charming and witty dialogue with characters, and a world that literally changes around you, with time manipulation spanning you across multiple eras and styles in a world that can be changed on the fly. If Xbox really wants to show 6 to 7 games in their developer direct, Clockwork Revolution would be a really great showcase. That is, if it's ready to ship in 2026. The Halo studio has been working on Halo Campaign Evolved, and this is likely set for a release date at around the 25th anniversary, which puts us the beginning of November 2026. We've already seen 15 to 20 minutes of gameplay showcased by Halo Studios themselves and content creators who had hands-on with this reimagining, the 4th time of Halo Combat Evolved. Campaign Evolved looks incredible in Unreal Engine 5 and shows that you can change engines and still keep the heart and DNA of the Halo franchise. And we've all played this game before, but it's finally coming to the PlayStation 5. This would be a really good time to showcase all of the modes and available features in the campaign, and as well as getting a deep dive into the new Halo Studios and how they will shape the franchise moving forward. There's one more surprise. If they're trying to get 6 to 7 games, there could be one more surprise, and it's another one of Xbox's worst kept secrets. And Todd Howard has been working so hard to bring Fallout to the fans. With the TV show now out and available for people to watch in Season 2, it's time to capitalize on the Fallout franchise fanaticism and show us Fallout 3 Remaster. In fact, this might actually be a remake. Rumors are that Virtual Studio, the team behind the Oblivion remake, is working on this in Unreal Engine 5, which will take Fallout 3 and make it more like a remake from the ground up. Better visuals, better combat, bringing that whole Capital Wasteland to life. And in fact, Fallout isn't done there. They're also planning on working on a remake for Fallout New Vegas. But if Fallout 3 Remake is supposed to come out sometime in 2026, this would be the perfect place to showcase what it'll look like and when we can get our hands on it. 2026 is so packed with games. There are so many games coming out at the very beginning of the year. Everything has been pushed to leave room for Grand Theft Auto 6 at the end of the year. But the holiday season is also packed with big, huge games from Xbox themselves. And Xbox still has to hide some stuff and hold it off for the Xbox Showcase at the summer of 2026. There are big things brewing, which we'll break down later about the 25th anniversary, but Xbox Developer Direct is probably about 1 month out, and I can't wait to see what the studios are working on, and most of all, I can't wait to see the eventual release dates of Xbox's biggest games. This is Colt Eastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. The Developer Direct's been going on since 2023, and every year I've really enjoyed the showcase and getting a look into the studios and the people that are working on the games. But most of all, I've been excited to see how many games Xbox is working on and to hear that they're so packed that they can't put everything in the Direct that's already ready for 2026. It's finally a good thing. It's been a crazy couple of years with the brand, and to watch them make falters of their console but have all these amazing games coming out, I'm really excited. There's a few games that I'd be concerned about, and Fable is probably the one that I'm most timid about. Like, I really want to play this game, but the way that they've waited so long to talk about it, and I just have a feeling if anything is slipping into 2027, it's probably Fable, but I hope we actually get to see what the game will play like and what we can expect when we dive into these huge games. If you ended up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell if you want to be notified of new weekly content. If you want to further support what we're doing here on the channel, you can hit the join button below. Also, check out the Ecstasy Podcast. That's a weekly show we do every Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are on 230 plus episodes, 4 years into the show, and we'll break down all the gaming news and a look into 2026. If you watch here on the channel, I'll have a really big video about everything coming out next year. That will be a huge thing, so sit down, grab some popcorn, and enjoy that when it comes out before the end of the year. Let me know what you think about the Xbox Developer Direct. Which of these games do you think are a sure bet, or are there a few curveballs that we've yet to hear about? Let me know what you think in the comments section, and while you do that, as I always say, please be nice.
I'm gonna need a big bag of popcorn, Glenn.
That's right. And always be nice. I mean, that's good advice.
Yeah, well, that's actually one of the things I like about him and his channel, and this kind of gaming coverage, top notch.
Oh, and those games look amazing. I mean, again, it's so nice to just be able to sit back and play a game with really nice graphics again, and just to see the responsiveness and just to see that kind of demo footage there. Good stuff.
Yeah, well, it's a shame that they're struggling so much with that Fable, because it looks amazing. Would totally, I know Rick would jump all over that one if they can get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I think Frank hit the nail on the head with GTA 6. Maybe when we finally do go supernova and it'll get released. I think that's the one that's the most anticipated for 2026. As far as the gamers that I know and talk to, every one of them has been waiting for that one.
Mm-hmm. And that Forza looks really nice. The scenery, like through Japan, that's going to be really nice.
Well, racing games, I mean, the evolution of them, going back to pole position and what was that Knight Rider? The Ataris,
Midnight Run.
Well, Atari had that like that
Night Driver, I think it was.
Night
maybe.
Driver, yeah, which was basically just a bunch of little pixels.
It was like Pong, essentially, like two Pong paddles going past, but it's, those are the lines on the edge of the road. Oh, they're going this way. Oh, they're going that way.
Yeah, we've come a long way, baby. Especially after Need for Speed, I think is where I really started to notice the evolution of the racing game.
Mm-hmm. And I remember doing Gran Turismo for a number of years there, playing games though. Trying to remember what other ones would have been. Not usually the racing games where it would be like Formula One or things like that, but just ones where it's kind of more a street racing or whatever, and you're unlocking racetracks and getting new cars by unlocking racetracks and doing new races, things like that.
Yeah, I really would love to get that like steering wheel set. Back in the summer when we were looking at controllers one night, and
the X Arcade series at one point.
And that one guy who built his own driving cage. I mean, he basically took a go-kart and gutted it and put in the best steering wheel, and he did it a couple of different ways. He had one with the like curved screen to get that like feeling, and then he tested it with some VR goggles. And I mean, it cost him, I think his price on that was like $2,500 to $3,000. But for the ultimate racing experience,
you can park in like the corner of the room too. So it's like you just got your little spot. You just like hop in. It's like a little one of those little beds that made out of a racing car.
Yeah.
It's like you hop into your little spot, you put your goggles on, and you do your racing.
Yeah, and
you feel like you're out there on the track.
He really souped it up. I mean, the seat had like that haptic feedback and speakers and subwoofers, and like you really felt like you'd be in a car.
There was one product I saw, I think it was called Thump maybe or something like that, but it was basically like a belt that you wear across the chest, and it had literal thumpers in there, so that like when you're listening to music, you could have the bass literally thump your chest there, or you're playing a video game and somebody shoots you and you can get
yeah. Well, when we saw that that pad that people can run on with their VR goggles, the serious players who are doing that, they are wearing like that vest that like you get shot, you actually
know where it came from,
feel it.
Because if you get shot from the back left, it's you literally get thumped in the back left, so to dive whatever to the right to get out of the way.
Yeah, I still want one of those track. I think that would get me healthy again.
And another thing, like something like that, you can just like tuck it in the corner and it's your little control space there. But with your VR goggles on, it is very much Ready Player One stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're just about there.
We're definitely going to be looking at that again in 2026. That was one of my funnest episodes that night. And that might have actually been when we first started subscribing to Cult. Great gaming channel if you're into these games, and it covers everything on every side. It's equal opportunity gamer.
And I think the funniest thing on that those treadmills, or that infinite treadmill, whatever, was the fact that like you got to slog a long way in some of those games, like those fighting games. So you're running the whole time, like you're saying. Some of those guys are getting in good shape from all the walking and running they're doing.
Yeah, you realize how spoiled you are when you can run with the keyboard.
Oh, my finger is tired from hitting the run button all day.
My fingers never get tired.
Exactly. Strength.
So at Colt Eastwood, all you gamers out there, this one's a great one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we're gonna shift back to MaxTech here to take a look at a different kind of tech that a lot of us probably wouldn't necessarily consider up front, but depending on what you do, especially in work, and now that I'm thinking about it, like the notating and annotating that a lot of people do with Zoom and in the boardrooms when you're dealing with demonstrations and things, the idea of having something that like you can just quickly jot things down, but it's digital and everything you're doing here can be stored and synchronized with what you're using here.
Exactly. And keep it all together.
Yeah, and what Max is covering here, it's the iFLYTEK AINOTE. I'm going to say AINOTE.
Yeah.
Easier than AINOTE.
Yeah, I like it.
It's the sequel.
Nice. The second one.
And you know, depending on the price on it, if it's in the right price range, it's the kind of thing I wouldn't mind having handy.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
If you're anything like me, you can get easily distracted by amazing new tech, especially tablets. Every year they get thinner, lighter, and even more powerful. And I've always dreamed of a tablet that feels like it's from the future. Ultra thin, super light, and incredibly dynamic. Well, today I'm holding exactly that. It's from our sponsor iFLYTEK, and they've sent over their new e-ink tablet to showcase all of the features on the AINOTE 2. If you thought the M5 iPad Pro was thin, I'm here to prove you wrong. This thing actually holds the Guinness World Record for the thinnest e-ink tablet in the world. Just at 4.2 millimeters thin, when you pick it up, it honestly feels unreal, like it shouldn't even be possible. And it doesn't stop there. The AINOTE 2 is also the world's first e-ink tablet powered by GPT-5 for next level productivity, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like in a moment. But before that, let's quickly go through the design and compare it to Apple's brand new M5 iPad Pro. The first obvious detail is that the AINOTE 2 uses e-ink technology, whereas the iPad has this beautiful tandem OLED display. It's gorgeous, but the iPad isn't the main character here since it's part of a different lifestyle. The second design difference is the thickness. Actually, I'll say thinness since that makes more sense in this case. The 11-inch iPad Pro is 5.3 millimeters compared to the AINOTE 2, which is 4.2 millimeters. Absolutely insane. The iPad Pro has a camera bump that actually sticks out and wobbles on the desk, where the AINOTE 2 has these rubber pads on the bottom so the table doesn't move it around while taking notes or journaling. Both of these tablets offer a different purpose, so let's focus on the AINOTE 2 because it combines best of both worlds. Number one, the AINOTE 2 presents e-ink technology, giving it a phenomenal pen and paper feel. And number two, it offers a focused, productive, and distraction-free workflow to your day-to-day life. Unlike the iPad, where I constantly get distracted with movies, shows, and social media apps, taking all of my attention away from being productive. In terms of the e-ink technology that's built into this tablet, it's a 10.65-inch display that is perfect middle ground, not too small and not too big. The screen resolution is 1920 by 2560 with 300 ppi. That is pixels per inch, which is actually the most you'll ever need because your naked eye won't see any more than that. For the chip that we get built in, it's the RK3576 8-core with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. The tablet also has 4 microphones that can be used for voice memos and to record meetings, and later on can be transferred transcribed right on the device. As far as connectivity, we get Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.4, as well as USB-C 3.0 port that's used for charging and file transfer. There's also pogo pins here for a case with a keyboard, and it comes with a stylus for writing or drawing on the tablet. And moving over to the software side of things, this tablet runs Android 14, and it's pretty snappy considering this is e-ink, which is known for a little bit of latency. But iFLYTEK managed to get it up to 22 FPS on the screen refresh and drawing latency down to 20 milliseconds, which you'll definitely notice while using this tablet. It also supports mini documents like PDF, JPEG, EPUB, TXT, and so many others, making it ultra capable for almost any document or situation you may throw at it. Getting into battery life, you'll get around 2 weeks of use thanks to its 4000 milliamp battery capacity, so you never have to worry about running out of battery on this thing. In terms of the UI on the AINOTE 2, it's very nice and simple with gesture controls, which is nice for everyday use. Like swiping from the top, we get the control center. Swiping from the top left, we get the notification center. Swiping from the bottom up, we get the multitasking view. And then swiping from the bottom left, we get the Chat GPT 5.0, where you can type in any question and it'll answer it swiftly. And then if you swipe from the bottom corner to the center, you'll get a quick note action here, and you can type in or draw anything you would like. Other features include speaking with AI, where at the top you can hit the button and AI aid will pop up, and it's actually listening to me, which is really nice with those 4 microphones, so it picks up everything that I say. My 2 favorite features are tasks and focus stars. This is pretty genius. So open any new or old note and you're able to press the button on the pen when it's closer than 1 centimeter away. You can make a circle that would become a task, and when you draw a star, which doesn't have to be perfect, it will recognize that as a focus star. And the cool thing, it'll populate all of that info in your schedule tab in the main menu, and it's really useful and lets you see all of the most important info you need at a glance. You can even hit complete if you finish the task and move forward. And one cool thing with this pen is that you never have to worry about battery life since it uses EMR technology. And with that, this pen feels really nice, and the writing and drawing experience is paper-like, even letting you erase with the other end of the pen, making it so intuitive and more comfortable to use, but you just have to try it out for yourself. Other than that, this AINOTE 2 was really helpful for me while letting me draw out a template that I've been 3D printing and needed to make adjustments. So I wrote all of the measurements down really quickly, making my life easier instead of doing this all on paper and pen, and I have to throw that away, but instead it's all built into the tablet forever so that I can come back to it anytime. And reading was also good since I could download third-party apps like Kindle so I could read my morning devotions on this beautiful display. So with all that said, if you've been looking for an e-ink tablet, the AINOTE 2 from iFLYTEK is perfect and future-proofs you with all of its features for the next 5 or more years. So with that, use the links or the pinned comment below to learn more or buy one for yourself. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button above, watch another great video over there. I'm Ben, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, good review, Ben.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I could see that being the replacement for like fridges, where like people tend to like have their shopping list and things on the fridge. That would build that into a fridge.
Exactly. They'll just the front right there where you'd be looking, exactly. That's the spot. But I do like the fact that they got the refresh up, because that is one thing that those paper-ish displays, the e-ink always seem to be a little bit slow on the refresh.
Well, and feeling like actual paper was a real challenge in the early days. But from what I'm hearing from those who have used these different products, it's gotten really good.
Well, as you and I discussed earlier, it's one of those things where we don't write that much anymore. So it's like I'm not looking for a technology replacement that makes it feel more like paper because we're pretty far away from paper, you and I, at this
Yeah.
point. Like we don't need that feel of the look and feel of paper. But I do know people like for me, this would be good for like my mother, for example, loves to read. Like she loves books, and it
Well,
would be a perfect
that's
thing
the
for that.
gravy for me. Like, I would actually like to read some books, but I can't do it with the regular tablet screen. It just burns into my eyes, and I can't look at it for long periods because I can barely focus on those anymore. This high contrast, and it's kind of why the Kindle in the early days was such a great thing for reading ebooks
Mhm.
because it just stuck to the basics.
Yeah, keep it white in the background and black text and go.
Yeah. Actually, if reversing the contrast, I wouldn't mind that. I tend to like the dark background white approach. For
Yeah,
me, it's much easier to focus on, but it's
and
nice to
less
be able
battery
to
too.
choose. Yeah.
Less battery because it's not as bright.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a usefulness for this kind of technology, and it's not necessarily to replace a tablet where what you use a tablet for typically isn't exactly the same kind of things. This is more of a productivity piece of tech that, especially in the workplace where you don't want your employees getting like, oh, I'm going to go watch YouTube all day on my tablet.
Yeah.
Stick to something that's going to actually keep you working.
Well, same idea, songwriting wise. Like a lot of people, they like the sketching out, just draw staff lines and just drawing a melody out or something. The idea, or just jot down a quick chord progression or something, some idea that you have in your head, something to be able to get the idea down. Like if most people, you just want to record something so you don't forget it. But this would be great to just be able to tap tap and boom, you write it down. Same idea. You're not going to lose the little scrap of paper that had your great song idea on it because it's in the tablet forever. Like you said,
Yeah.
Once you've got it in there, it's in there.
Yeah, and they did get AI into it.
Yeah.
That's actually another bonus. Like, I really am interested in it just for its basic use, but the fact that like it does have a little AI brain and can recognize what you say, and you can actually talk to it in some cases as a note taker, whether I'm writing it or hey, remember this for future reference.
Mhm.
I don't want to have to dump all that directly to my computer. I don't really want to talk directly to my computer. I would rather have a little side gadget like that for
Mhm.
that kind of use.
Yeah, exactly. Good
And
stuff.
I was curious, like, what are we talking for price? The 8-inch one, Walmart's got it for 479. The 10-inch, which I would go with the 10-inch one for sure. I mean, it's a little bit more. You're seeing it in the 550-ish range around there. A little bit of a spicy meatball there, not gonna lie. But if I was like looking for something for a company to be productive, and tablet is kind of what we're trying to avoid, this is a much more productive thing for those kinds of situations where you're in the boardroom or you want to keep measurements and things as you're building and doing things like that. I think I would rather have this than like an iPad.
Yeah. And again, for design, like, you're a guitar builder, a bass builder, you can write out designs, draw out things like that, things that you can't just do as easily on a tablet. Like trying to draw with your finger wouldn't be quite as, you're not going to be as accurate if you're trying to draw designs for things, for example.
Yeah. The other thing I'm curious as to the accuracy of drawing on it. For those comic book, sketch artists that I've worked with in the past, and those who really like to kind of draw out scenes and characters as they're scripting. Um, if the precision on it is good enough for somebody who's a good sketch artist, that would be a big plus too, because at that price range, for someone who likes to do black and white sketching like that, this is cheap. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
if it can do something that the $1,000 plus drawing tablets do, and in this price range, wow, that would be actually useful.
Exactly. Good
Have
review.
to look more into that to see if anybody is using that in that way. I mean, from what I saw there, it looks more like it's just, more for writing recognition and all of that. But if it can handle good line art and things like that, certainly can see a market for that.
Definitely.
Yep. At
And the AI
MacTech Official.
and the AI could assist you with that most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. MacTech Official, glad to have you over on our Talkin Shhh I.T list now for tech. I've been perusing the site for a while now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And now we're going to shift to a plugin. I was almost going to make this a plugin night because there's a bunch of them that we're getting, the year end review and best plugins of 2025. So I've got a couple of them that I might put together for like as we go into 2026. That might be one of the first things we take a look at, and how the plugin market this year has really brought us some great offerings. But at Chandler Guitar, I wanted to include this one because the one thing we haven't looked at when it comes to simulations, and we've looked at amp sims, we've looked at IRs, and all these other ways to virtualize things, but microphones was not one of them. And
exactly.
it's something that is actually pretty impressive. Doesn't get as much talk out there as like the amp sims and everything else, but I think it's more that people just aren't really aware or familiar with it yet. And if they did look at it in the past where the technology was still half baked, Melda.
It's fully baked.
Yeah. Melda has definitely been one of the ones that have like been innovating here, and I'm curious to see where they're at now because I have looked at their offerings in the past, and I'm loving what I see here as to the interface and their approach.
Yeah. And again, like I said, if you have, you gotta have good monitors, good headphones, whatever you're listening through in order to hear the differences between microphones. But when you get something like this, it really should make the differences stand out and should help you to see which microphone best, works best with your voice.
What kind of dynamic range you might need out of that microphone, because just like with the headphone simulators and adjusters, making something that doesn't necessarily have that dynamic range sound like it does, it's a little tricky, but I can see how they're accomplishing this.
It's a little bit of magic.
Yeah, it does feel like magic, huh?
Exactly.
All right, let's see how magical this is.
Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I thought I'd go over a brand new Melda plugin, and that is MMicSim. So what this does is it basically allows you to turn a mic into a different mic, and this can be great when you only have one or two microphones, or you need the sound of a different microphone for something. Sometimes, some microphones sound better than others. Maybe you're just too lazy to get out one of your other microphones. Who knows? Using this, you can easily adjust the sound of your microphone quickly, and you can audition a bunch of mics that you probably don't have as well to find the exact one you need for your project. But let's get into it. First, I'll just show you this. I used an SM57 here, and I recorded this. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. Okay, so I should admit, it's not completely raw. There was a little bit of a low-end rumble because I was holding it in a strange way. So I just cut off that with a high-pass filter. But besides that, it's raw. Let's go in here and let's find MMicSim here. And it just looks like this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find our mic. So as I said, it's an SM57, so it should be down here someplace. Right here. SM57. And then on this side, we have a lot of different mics we can choose from here. So this is off, and then I'll turn it on. You can hear this AKG C12. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim. So you can hear those differences between those. As you can see here, there's actually quite a few mics. I can't go through all of these because this video would just take forever. And even if I just scroll through this so you can see it, it's still going to take like quite a while. So if you really want to know, you can just download the demo yourself and see what's on there. And of course, check out everything and see how they change. So that's basically it, but two kind of things that might be useful here is one, you can search for a specific mic, but also the average here. So I'll turn this on. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this. This is just like the average of all the mics together, and this is flat. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change. And I can definitely see there might be some cases where I actually kind of want something flat, etc. there. On top of that, we have this wet dry so you can blend between them. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. Of course, you have the output knob. That's easy enough to understand. But also you have this smoothness knob. What this will do is it will decrease or increase the amount of like sharp peaks in there. Sometimes it won't be noticeable and you're like, I don't really hear a difference. And other times you're like, whoa, I've turned that smoothness down. I'm hearing like some really harsh resonant spike. So set that to taste. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety. So set the smoothness however you like. And one of the great things about this is, like with all Melda plugins, you have this A, B, C, D, E, F, where you can take different snapshots, and I can go like just copy this, go to B, paste it, and then I can just try microphones. Like, okay, I think this one sounds good. I can go to C, paste it again. Okay, maybe this sounds good. And then I can go through and just quickly A-B between A, B, and C and see which one sounds the best to me. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this into a variety of different microphones. This is the raw sound of the dynamic mic. This is an SM57. We're going to use this, and we're going to process this using MMicSim to change this. So you can kind of hear those subtle differences and see which one works best for your project. So I think that's a really good thing about this. It's quick, it's easy, and it lets you get really good results. You can check this out. Some of the mics probably sound like very similar to what you're already using, and some of them are drastically different. So I think that's one of the good things about it. It's easy. You could put this in multiple tracks. So if you only have, one track, it's kind of like having a bunch of different microphones to use on there. So I might use this on something like guitars and try to use a fake not double tracking, like fake multi-mic setup by using some small delay tricks and things like that. So keep that in mind. There's lots of things. I'll try to do some videos about this in the future. But if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Leave me any questions or comments down below, and be sure to check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.
Nice.
Oh, he just gave me some more use cases, ideas.
Exactly. And what I was just thinking about was having, changing your own voice for like background vocals, making it sound like a different thing. Like, because you heard in that demo with some of those microphones, it sounds a completely different person almost, with the difference between this mic and that mic. So.
Yeah, you get a different tone out of the voice by, and I recognize some of those mics. The Shores, I've been through a couple of them.
Oh yeah. The 57s we use all the time. The 58s we use all the time. 48s we used to use before that. So, I mean, we use those. That's our main workhorses that we use for on stage.
And as I was watching it, fireworks in my head on where I can actually test this in a useful way. The movie I'm working on, with Ange and Sam, we're doing some narration in it. Ange is going to be narrating, and the tone and the control that I need for the narration track, this might come in handy to clean up and get the narration to sound distinct and different than what I'm dealing with the characters who are talking. And I need the narration to actually stand out there. This could be the solution.
In a world where microphones need to stand out.
Yes. That was a good review, Chandler. And looking at the channel, I mean, he really, Melda, they've got some cool products here. So if you're interested in what they're doing and the different technologies that they're getting out there, looks like he's the go-to.
Yeah. And again, I like the interface. I like the way it's laid out. I like, how easy and intuitive it looks to be able to do what you're doing, and how, responsive it is in terms of, you just click one, you click another one, and you're hearing the difference right away.
Yeah. And I hadn't even thought of like this for what I'm working on, but thank God I actually looked at it now, because I'm right in the middle of this phase of the audio editing, and who would have thunk it? I stumbled on a possible solution to an actual problem.
I think the cat thunk it because he's right there. She's right there.
She agrees.
Right.
At Chandler Guitar, thank you for that information. You might have just saved me a whole bunch of trying other things that wouldn't have accomplished what I actually need to do.
I think the cat is saying, "You're in my chair."
Yeah, no, she's got hers behind me.
But you didn't warm that one up yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll flip it for her in a second. But first, for our final video, I chose this one because I really liked the title, and it kept popping up like every time I go to look in our YouTube feed. This one kept repeating every day, so I felt like it was calling out to me, and it was like, oh, we should discuss this, especially because we've had those psychiatry nights, and looking at the psychic makeup of a creative person, and why we like music that we like, and things on how the brain works creatively. And at viral VSN, what I'm digging with this channel as I'm going through it is he's one of those kinds of thinkers. He's looking at the creative side of things and how it all relates in the brain to explain things that we sometimes don't really think about consciously.
Nice.
And with this one, the title got my attention. You know, it's how to force people to like your music, which I've had this kind of discussion, you know, in the Zoom at times with artists that are like, how do I up my followers and my subscriptions and my likes? And you know, they're all looking for that reaffirmation, that what they did caught someone's attention in their ears. And there's some interesting points that they get into here as to why some things practically do force people to like it, because these kinds of approaches and these kinds of things, the way we work, there is some explanation to it.
And one that I was going to bring up before, actually, we talked about that, the 251, bringing it back around, and the tension in the release. There was one that they brought up it was the Victor Wooten bass masterclass, I think it was, essentially. But in that, he had like 6 or 7 bass players in the room, and he was just going over certain techniques and certain concepts with them.
I remember, was it on base night that we looked at it, or was it just one of those like Wooten nights that we were going through his stuff?
It was one or the other. I don't remember which, but we definitely looked at part of it, because it was Victor Wooten and Anthony Wellington were giving the bass class, and the two of them were just going back and forth. And they said, okay, I want to, you know, he had somebody play a solo. And so like the guys, you know, they just, you know, started doing a little bass groove behind it, and then had him play a solo, and then said, okay, we're going to do it again. But this time, watch how you feel, and watch how the crowd, if there was a crowd in the room, watch how they would respond, right? So they do it again, but right before the bass solo starts, they all kind of, you know, they start building it up, you know, volume-wise, they build up and get more complex, and they kind of like back out a little bit to let him do the solo. And then towards the end of the solo, they start bringing it back up again, so that it's a big thundering, you know, climax to the end of the solo, so that the crowd, it's like you can really feel the build to that point. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. But in this case, it was just the two of them, you know, just Victor and Anthony, that were, you know, making this groove and kind of built the whole thing from nothing, and then built that whole climax up just by the intensity of the playing, is what I was getting at. They can make that happen.
As musicians, this is what we want. The effect.
Exactly.
Well, we're not going to force you to watch this, but you might get forced to like it.
That's right.
Here is how you can control people to make them like your music, just like how dog owners get their dog's attention with a bell. And I'm not joking when I say this, you can force people to like your songs through literal hypnosis, just like how a dog bell works. Let's get into it. But in order to get people to like your music, we have to understand why people like music. What's the actual reason for me liking a certain song? Why do you like Drake? Why do you like Kendrick Lamar? We can't just say, oh, because it sounds good. Why does it sound good? Watch this video.
Listening to music increases the blood flow to the regions of your brain that deals with emotions. This is called the limbic system, and it's responsible for a lot of other things too. But the main reason the limbic system makes us like music so much is the chemical it produces. Dopamine. I'm sure you're all familiar with this chemical if you've downloaded this, or if you use any one of these. As your brain becomes familiar with a particular song you like, your body releases dopamine in just the first few seconds of hearing it.
Okay, so this part is very important. He said, when our brains become familiar with a certain song that we like, then our brain releases dopamine when we hear that song again. So this part here is important for several reasons. The first reason is because this is why songs grow on us. This is why when we listen to a song for the first time, we might not like it, but the second time, third time, fourth time, and maybe the fifth time we hear it, we're like, oh, I've heard this song before. I'm gonna dance to it. I like this song. And then 6th time you might save it. But someone has to hear your song over and over and over again to start liking your song. This is a nightmare for small artists because holy shit, we don't have the ad budget. We don't have the budget to spend $100,000 on ads to get our songs listened to over and over and over again before people start liking our songs, right? We don't have the time to make thousands of TikTok videos either. And therefore, we have to use a little bit of a hack to skip this entire queue to get our song liked immediately. This is a literal hack that's being used all the time by big artists and musicians, and I'll show you examples of that, and you will know of examples yourself when I've mentioned this tactic. And it uses one word that starts with the letter F to basically skip the queue and get your song liked immediately. Quick warning, if you're the type of person that's gonna be like, hey, this is not music, this is not creativity. I miss the days when music was all about making music that people love, blah, 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 blah. Get off this video because this video is gonna piss you off. And the truth is, this is exactly that. You're making music that people like, you're just using a little bit of a hack. At the end of the day, people still like the music that you're creating. Hey, you're gonna hate regardless, so skip past this video if you're that type of person. Going back to it, how can we skip this cue here and get people to like our song immediately? I wanna go back to that statement that I've just mentioned. When our brain becomes familiar with a particular song that we like, when we hear that song again, our brain releases dopamine. I'm gonna write this statement out on this whiteboard. And don't skip this because I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I'm saying it over and over again purposefully, just so it gets drilled into your head, because once you understand this concept, you can apply it in so many ways that will really help you in your music career. And it'll help you understand why certain songs get liked immediately and why your song, maybe nobody likes it the first time they hear it, and it takes them 1 million times to listen to it before they start liking it. And this can also be a reason why you have no monthly Spotify listeners. When our brain becomes familiar with a song we like, our brain releases dopamine when we hear that song. This statement right here is so powerful, and I hope you didn't skip through this part because you need to understand this, all right? And don't think, oh yeah, he's talking about samples. I already know this, he already talked about this. This is more than just samples. The word here is familiar, okay? That's a word that started with the letter F, which is so powerful. When our brain becomes familiar with a song we like, okay, I'm gonna also highlight this, our brain releases dopamine when we hear that song again. Basically, we like a song when we hear that song again. So we can replace dopamine and say releases pleasure to make it easier to understand. We basically just get ear orgasms when we hear a song that is familiar to us, okay? Let's keep this word familiar, keep this word pleasure or orgasm, and let's switch these words here with something else. So I just erased the word song, and I'm gonna put that here. Because when you like a song, you like the song as a whole, yes. However, you might not be aware, well, your brain obviously isn't paying attention to this, but subconsciously, you like components of the song. There are many aspects of the song that you like, okay? And this might sound obvious to you, but let me blow your mind a little bit if you're not already aware of this. Your brain recognizes a whole list of things. The drum pattern, the drum kit sound, the type of snares used, the type of hi-hats used, 808 patterns or 808 sounds. And I'm gonna give you guys examples of this. Vocal textures. And there are thousands of different examples of components of a song, but these are just a couple of them, okay? Going back to this statement, when our brains become familiar with a song we like, our brain releases pleasure when we hear that song, okay? Now let me replace it with drum pattern. So I've just made this a little bit more easier to understand. I canceled our brain releases, dopamine, and replaced it with we feel pleasure when we hear that blank. Let me blow your mind real quick. When our brain becomes familiar with a drum pattern we like, we feel pleasure when we hear that drum pattern. Drum pattern. Drum pattern. An example of this is Jersey club drum patterns. There is a very specific kick pattern with these beats. And when it first started popping off, this is exactly why so many artists, so many well-known artists started hopping on these instrumentals such as NLE Chopper, Ice Spice, Kyle Rich, Drake, is because they recognize this right here. They all are aware of this, by the way. And this is why trends happen. When one song pops off with a certain sound, with a certain drum pattern, for example, like I said, the Jersey club drum beats, then all artists will start using it because it's become a trend. And going to vocal textures. One vocal texture that is very common nowadays is this Kyle Rich raspy voice. Gotta get in a bar. They don't shoot, but they all run track. Get turned over frame on a picture. Now this is one thing that is dangerous right here. As an artist, you can pop off really quickly by using this voice right here in your music. However, these are trends that we're talking about. And trends can fall off. Specific trends can fall off, such as vocal textures. Because once everybody starts using this vocal texture here, just like once everybody starts using the same 808, once everybody starts using that drum pattern, it becomes saturated and people get bored of it and want to hear something else. It's just like eating a chocolate bar. If you eat a chocolate bar once, nice. If you eat it every single day, the same chocolate bar, you're like, what is this? I want to eat something else. Let me switch to, I don't know, honeycomb chocolate. However, when you make your identity, this right here, the raspy voice, once this trend dies, you're screwed. You have to go through a whole rebranding process. So I don't really suggest using this right here unless you're very versatile with what you can do with your voice, and you can experiment with your voice and have a whole bunch of different vocal textures, just like how XXXTentacion does it. He's very good at switching his voice up to the point where, damn, it sounds like there's 4 different people on his songs. And therefore his songs are very, I'm going to a whole completely different tangent here, but it's very smart what X does, on a side note, with having different vocal textures and sounds, because people are never going to get bored of him because he is 4 or 5 different people. He can make himself sound completely different in 4 to 5 different songs. All right, very smart right there. That's nothing to do with this. But I want to mention, going back to this point right here, if I replace this and put back in song here, song, this is why samples work so well. And if you've been a follower of my channel, you know this, okay? This is even more reason to subscribe to this channel, because everybody who watches my channel is already aware of this right here. So really quick, I'm gonna talk about my mentorship services. If you wanna have an additional 10,000 to 50,000 monthly Spotify listeners added, then I am here to help you grow yourself towards that. From helping you create viral songs, helping you with your mindset, and just overall helping you with content creation and the marketing side of your music. I help a range of artists, from people who have not even started posting on Instagram to people who already have 1 million+ Instagram followers. So it doesn't matter how many followers you have. The only thing that I look out for is for people who are persistent, work every single day on their music career, and actually want to win. And don't just think of me as a magic potion or secret formula that will help you blow up, because it is very much a 2-person game with my mentorship services. One of the guys that I was working with got their most streamed songs and had their song all over TikTok and became very popular within their country. The reason why samples work so well in rap songs is because our brain is familiar with that song, and therefore when we hear that sample, immediately we're like, oh yeah, I like this song, because our brain, our body releases dopamine. I'm not a scientist. When we hear that song, okay, when we hear that sample, okay? And the same thing works with drum patterns, drum kit sounds. Hell, I have a whole bunch of different lists, examples here. Chords, melodies, vocal riffs, effects, you know, using gunshots in your drill beats, familiar genres. Bro, there's a whole list of things that you can trigger familiarity with. And one thing that this video that I'm referencing to, shout out to this channel by the way, also mentioned was how our emotions are associated with sounds, okay? Watch this part right here.
From birth, your brain will start detecting patterns and associating things to them, including the melodies and rhythm of music. Let's say, for example, that you're 4 years old and that you're sitting in the back of your mom's car. You'll hear whatever song's playing on the radio, and from there on out, that song is imprinted in your brain. But that imprint is also associated with all of the things around you when you heard that song, like how you were feeling, where you were, who you were around. All of those things make up why your brain associates feeling with music.
So this explains a few things. Okay, one thing which is not really related to this is why I hear certain songs and feel sudden moments of extreme sadness, while other people hear that song and are like, yeah, I love that song. One song, for example, is I Wish I Knew You Wanted Me. What's that song called? Steve Lacy, you know the song I'm talking about. When I hear that song, I feel sad because there was a point in my life which was very shit, not good at all, and I was listening to that song, and because I was in such a bad mood, I associate that song with my bad mood, and it brings me back to that memory. Whereas my other friend hears that song, and it brings him to amazing memories. Same with songs I heard when I was a little kid, when I was somehow feeling sad, playing Legos. I heard this song that my mom was playing on the radio, and it's not a negative song at all, it's actually a really positive song. But whenever I hear that song, I just feel like shit. From a song that I heard when I was a little kid. Isn't this amazing? Now this is an idea I want to bring about right now, and this is how you can utilize songs that people universally feel good when they listen to, and sampling those songs in your music. Because if most people like that song, most people will like your song because you're sampling that song. You're gonna trigger this right here. You're gonna make people feel pleasure when they hear your song because they're familiar with that song and they associate that song with positive emotions. An idea, okay? I know I've spoke about this before, but I haven't spoken about this. Find a movie or a movie scene which is very, very, very popular that everybody has watched and that brings about positive emotions. And one example here is Shrek. Hey now, da 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 da. What's that song called? Smash Mouth All Star. Sample that right there. And everyone's gonna be brought back to Shrek. Who doesn't like Shrek? Everybody loves Shrek. That show nobody dislikes. And therefore, you're gonna trigger immediate pleasure. And I haven't heard that song being sampled before. Gems on this channel, and it's free. So, okay, I also wanna drop a crazy bomb right here. Now this one is kind of crazy, but I don't feel like anybody's gonna make use of this, therefore I'm not afraid to share it with you because someone's gonna say it anyways. Listen to every single FIFA World Cup song, and they all have one familiar aspect that makes people feel immediately strong and powerful. And that's the fact that they use crowds in the music. It makes them feel very strong, makes you feel strong, it gives you goosebumps when you listen to that song. That's so powerful. You listen to a song and you feel all of that. How crazy is that? You know what artists have used this in their recent songs, this exact strategy? Because everybody's familiar with that? Kanye West with Carnival. Whoa, whoa, bro. Immediately you get goosebumps, you feel like you're part of a tribe even though you're sitting home in your bedroom alone. And you feel like you just want to go crazy, you want to start a riot. It's that effect, that unity effect, that's brought about when you hear crowd vocals. That's crazy to me. That's something that I just discovered sitting down, listening to FIFA World Cup music, wondering why all of these songs are so powerful. And I realized it's because they use this vocal texture right here, crowd effects. Even crowd effects in the percussion has been used in a lot of these for FIFA World Cup songs. It's not, singular percussion instruments. It's echoed group percussionists that create this like cathedral sound when you hear it. It sounds like it's being played at a stadium, and that brings about strength. You know what I mean? It's just like you get that feeling of marching in a band for, I don't even know what the hell you're marching for, but you just feel powerful. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you realized how powerful it is to use this right here, familiarity. And sometimes I'm like, damn, why did I make this video? Because now I feel like I have to find something else crazy to talk about because I've just dropped another bomb. If you do enjoy this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. No, fuck the fuck. I've never subscribed to my channel in my life. There's no way I'm saying that for the first time. Don't subscribe to this channel. Just use this, and I hope to see you again another day.
Oh, too late. I already did subscribe.
Unsubscribe real quick. Good advice.
But who would have thought we actually were leading into it and didn't even realize it when we were talking about familiarity earlier. That is kind of the key here. I mean, he did bring up some other good tips too. I do feel like I got a little bit of an info bomb there. The special effects technique, the crowd use for a certain impact.
Well, even just looking at the drum, the different drum elements and, the vocal texture and all those different aspects of a song as things that are specifically recognized by the brain is good to recognize. Like, most people would say, oh, it has to be the same melody or the same chords. Like those are the only two things they really think about. That would be, something to get familiarity. But there's all these other elements of the song that can build to that.
Yeah, when you look at the big picture of things, and it's not just the dopamine release, it's not just recognizing like a chord progression and being like, oh, I feel like I'm at home with this progression. Instrument choices, reconnecting to an emotion. When he gave that example of like, man, I always feel like shit when I hear the song because it reminds me of when I was a kid. Certain things are going to have a different effect on different people.
Yep. Exactly. And that's the thing is like a lot with songs. I mean, it could be a smell, it could be a sound, it could be, there's a lot of different things. And for me, a lot of it can go both ways too. Like, if you hear something in a song, like if I hear a particular classical piano, it usually brings me back to when I was a kid because I heard so much classical music when I was a kid because my dad was always playing piano in the house and always listening to it when he was, listening to music there. So those always bring me back. It can work the other way too, where if you have, a particular one was an incense, a particular brand or a particular flavor, let's say, of incense that was burning at my one piano teacher's house when I was a kid. And I just literally a week ago, I was walking down the street and just caught a whiff of incense from somewhere. And it immediately snapped me back there because it was always the same one. And this was definitely the same one. It's one of those things where it's such a specific thing. And that was the only place I would ever get that or ever smell that, was over there. So it's just one of those things that the memory can come either way. The sound can trigger the memory of, that smell and that whole scene, or it can be the smell that triggers the memory of the sound and all of that.
Yeah, or the sound itself, like Frank says here, an 808 beat with a certain chord and, that kind of sound for me takes me back to a certain time.
Yep. And a lot of times where I'm trying to learn, or I'm trying to pick up on something someone's playing at an open jam, they're like, oh, I recognize that song, and I start playing. If it's a different song, that can actually get you two different groups of people that you just now got, a dopamine hit with, because those guys recognize the song that first started, and now these guys are hearing a different song. So they're both going, oh, I recognize that. Oh, I recognize that. And then it comes a different song. So that's where medleys also help, because you're going from one song into another, giving people multiple hits.
If you can mash a couple of them together, like properly, and like a Christmas medley, every year you'll hear certain songs just come together.
Yep. And that's where it's important that they're either in the same key or compatible keys and all that kind of thing, because if you're trying to go from something that's in C to something in C sharp, it doesn't quite work. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, and as he had mentioned, just like Frank, use of a sample in some cases. That's why Ice Ice Baby definitely took off real fast, because there was an instant connection for certain fans.
Yep, exactly.
And
familiarity.
I really like how he covered the approach to trending. That I think was some really good advice. Knowing what's trending, utilizing it to some extent, but being aware of what you're doing with what's trending, and whether you're the trendsetter or you're at the end of the chain and damn, everybody's doing this and it's starting to sound like everything else. You don't necessarily want to be the one who overuses what's trending, because trends do come in and go out, and it's nice if you're the one getting them going. But you don't want to be the one responsible for why everybody stops doing it either.
And like they were saying, being allowing yourself to be defined by the trend is one thing, whereas just utilizing part of the trend, that's a different thing.
Yeah. The trending might get you some quick attention, at that time, because everybody's looking for it or listening for it, and it can help there. Yes, she knows. it can help there if you do it at the right time, but you don't want to be considered like a copycat or
or jumping on the bandwagon.
Yes, there is an oversaturation point that you need to be aware of.
Exactly. Got to be careful with that.
We're done. Go.
Another good one. And we got the holidays coming up, so we're not here next week.
Yes,
we have something special going on.
Yeah, next week we'll be looking at some of the best hits of Talkin Shhh I.T for 2025 as we get ready for 2026.
Nice.
And then we'll be back the day after. We will be having a New Year's Eve party for those who might be interested, and come and party with us on Wednesday. It's going to be a special whip it out.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Happy holidays.
Yes. Best of holidays for everybody.
Yes. And thanks for joining.
Good night, everyone.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and sets that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking